Understanding the exposure triangle. Hello and welcome to our photography tutorial series. Today we're going to be talking about one of the most important aspects of photography, the exposure triangle. Understanding the exposure triangle is crucial if you want to take control of your camera and produce stunning photos. So, let's get started. Part 1. What is the exposure triangle? The exposure triangle is the relationship between three crucial components of photography: aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. These three components work together to control the amount of light that enters the camera and hits the sensor. Part 2. Aperture. The first component of the exposure triangle is aperture. Aperture refers to the opening in the lens that allows light to enter the camera. It's measured in f-stops, with smaller f-stop numbers indicating a larger aperture opening. A larger aperture opening means more light enters the camera, resulting in a brighter image. Aperture also affects the depth of field, or the amount of the image that's in focus. A larger aperture, smaller f-stop number, results in a shallower depth of field, while a smaller aperture, larger f-stop number, results in a deeper depth of field. Part 3. Shutter speed. The second component of the exposure triangle is shutter speed. Shutter speed refers to the amount of time the camera's shutter is open, allowing light to hit the sensor. Shutter speed is measured in fractions of a second, with faster shutter speeds resulting in less light hitting the sensor and a darker image, and slower shutter speeds resulting in more light hitting the sensor and a brighter image. Shutter speed also affects motion blur. A faster shutter speed will freeze motion, while a slower shutter speed will create a blur effect. Part 4. ISO. The third and final component of the exposure triangle is ISO. ISO refers to the sensitivity of the camera's sensor to light. A higher ISO number means the sensor is more sensitive to light, resulting in a brighter image, but also more digital noise. Digital noise is similar to film grain, and can be distracting in photos. A lower ISO number means the sensor is less sensitive to light, resulting in a darker image, but also less digital noise. Part 5. Putting it all together. So how do we use the exposure triangle to create the perfect exposure? We need to balance aperture, shutter speed, and ISO to achieve the desired effect. If we want a brighter image with a shallow depth of field, we can use a larger aperture, smaller f-stop number, a slower shutter speed, and a lower ISO. If we want a darker image with a deep depth of field, we can use a smaller aperture, larger f-stop number, a faster shutter speed, and a higher ISO. In conclusion, understanding the exposure triangle is key to taking control of your camera and producing beautiful photos. By balancing aperture, shutter speed, and ISO, you can achieve the perfect exposure for any situation. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more photography tutorials. Subscribe to our channel for more videos on photography.